Hello everyone, we are here to speak about amazing works of art and architecture referred to as the Seven Wonders of the traditional world function a testament to the ingenuity, imagination and sheer exertions of which kith and kin are capable. The Good Pyramid, located at Giza on the west bank of the Nile River north of Cairo in Egypt, is the only wonder of the traditional world that has survived to the current day. It's a part of a gaggle of three pyramids Khufu Cheops, Khafra Chephren, and Menkaure Myceramus that were built between 2700 BC and 2500 BC as royal tombs. The most important and most impressive is Khufu, referred to as the Memorial, which covers 13 acres and is believed to contain quite 2 million stone blocks that weigh from 2 to 30 tons each. For quite 4,000 years, Khufu reigned because the tallest building within the world. In fact, it took Homo sapiens until the 19th century to make a taller structure. Amazingly, the nearly symmetrical Egyptian pyramids were built without the help of contemporary tools or surveying equipment. So, how did Egyptians build the pyramids? Scientists believe that the Egyptians used log rollers and sledges to maneuver the stones into place, according to Greek poets. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built near the river in modern-day Iraq by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II around 600 BC. The gardens were said to possess been planted as high as 75 feet. Within the air on an enormous square brick terrace that was laid in steps, sort of a theatre. The king allegedly built the towering gardens to ease his lover Amidus' homesickness for the natural fantastic thing about her target media, the northwestern part of modern-day Iran. Later writers described how people could walk underneath the attractive gardens, which rested on tall stone columns. Modern scientists have deduced that for the gardens to survive they'd have had to be irrigated employing a system consisting of a pump, water wheel and cisterns to hold water from the Euphrates many feet into the air. Though there are multiple accounts of the gardens in both Greek and Roman literature, none of them are first-hand, and no mention of the gardens has been found in Babylonian cuneiform inscriptions. As a result, most recent scholars believe that the existence of the gardens was a part of an inventive and widely believed but still fictional tale, the famed statue of Zeus. The king of the gods in classical mythology, was crafted by the Athenian sculptor Phidias and completed and placed within the Temple of Zeus at Olympia, site of the traditional Olympics. Round the mid-5th century BC the statue depicted the god of thunder seated bare-chested at a wooden throne. Holding up the throne's armrests were two carved sphinxes, mythical creatures with the top and chest of a lady, the body of lion and therefore the wings of a bird. The statue of Zeus was richly decorated with gold and ivory. At 40 feet, it had been so tall that its head nearly touched the highest of the temple. In keeping with legend, the sculptor Phidias asked Zeus for an indication of his approval after finishing the statue. Soon after, the temple was struck by lightning. The Zeus statue graced the temple at Olympia for quite 8 centuries before Christian priests persuaded the Emperor of Rome to shut the temple within the 4th century AD. At that point, the statue was moved to a temple in Constantinople, where it's believed to possess been destroyed in a very fire within the year 462. There was actually quite one temple of Artemis. A series of several altars and temples was destroyed and so restored on the identical site in Ephesus, a Greek port city on the geographic region of modern-day Turkey. The foremost fabulous of those structures were two marble temples built around 550 BC and 350 BC, respectively. Apart from Olympus, the sun never looked on anything so grand. The author Antipater of Sidon wrote of the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. The original Temple of Artemis was designed by the Cretan architect Chersiphron and his son Metagenes and decorated by a number of the foremost celebrated artists of the traditional world. The building burned on July 21, 356 BC, in keeping with legend the identical night that Alexander the Good was born. It had been torched by a Greek citizen named Herostratus, who claimed he burned the marvel in order that his name would be known to history. He was put to death and therefore the government declared it illegal to utter his name. About 6 years later, the building of the new Temple of Artemis was begun. The new building was surrounded by marble steps that led to a quite 400-foot-long terrace. Inside stood 127 60-foot marble columns and a statue of Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt. Archaeologists disagree on whether the building had an open-air ceiling or was topped with wood tiles. The temple was largely destroyed by Ostrogoths in a very d. 262. And it had been not until the 1860s that archaeologists dug up the primary of the ruins of the temple's columns at the underside of the Cayster River, located in what's now southeastern Turkey. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus was a tomb built by Artemisia for her husband, Mausolus, the king of Carnia in Anatolia. After his death in 353 BC, Mausolus was also Artemisia's brother, and in keeping with legend, she was so grief-stricken at his passing that she mixed his ashes with water and drank them additionally to ordering the mausoleum's construction. The huge mausoleum was made entirely of white marble and is believed to possess been about 135 feet high. The building's complicated design, consisting of 3 rectangular layers, are a shot to reconcile Lycian, Greek and Egyptian architectural styles. The primary layer was a 60-foot base of steps, followed by a middle layer of 36 Ionic columns and a stepped, pyramid-shaped roof. At the very top of the roof lay the tomb, decorated by the work of 4 sculptors, and a 20-foot marble rendition of a 4-horse chariot. The mausoleum was largely destroyed in an earthquake within the 13th century, and its remains were later employed in the fortification of a castle. In 1846, pieces of one of the mausoleum's friezes were extracted from the castle and now reside, together with other relics from the Halicarnassus site. In London's British Museum, the Colossus of Rhodes was an infinite bronze sculpture of the sun god Helios built by the Rhodians over 12 years within the 3rd century BC. Town was the target of a Macedonian siege early within the 4th century BC and, in keeping with legend, the Rhodians sold the tools and equipment left behind by the Macedonians to get hold of the Colossus. Designed by the sculptor Chares, the statue was, at 100 feet, the tallest of the traditional world. It had been completed around 280 BC and stood for 60 years until it had been toppled in an earthquake. It had been never rebuilt. Many years later, Arabs invaded Rhodes and sold the remains of the statue as trash. Thanks to this, archaeologists don't know much about the precise location of the statue or what it seemed like. Most believe that it depicted the sun god standing naked while he lifted a torch with one hand and held a spear within the other. It had been once believed that the statue stood with one leg on all sides of a harbor. But most scholars now agree that the statue's legs were possibly built approximate to support its immense weight. The lighthouse of Alexandria was located on a little island called Pharos near town of Alexandria. Designed by the Greek architect Sostratos and completed around 270 BC during the reign of Ptolemy II, the lighthouse helped to guide river ships in and out of the city's busy harbor. Archaeologists have found ancient coins on which the lighthouse was depicted, and from them deduced that the structure had 3 tiers. A square level at the underside, an octagonal level within the middle and a cylindrical top. Above that stood a 16-foot statue, possibly of Ptolemy II or Alexander the Good, for whom town was named. Although estimates of the lighthouse's height have ranged from 200 to 600 feet, hottest scholars believe it had been about 380 feet tall. The lighthouse was gradually destroyed during a series of earthquakes from 956 to 1323. A number of its remains have since been discovered at the underside of the Nile. Thank you for watching this video. If you wish the video, give us like, share the video and subscribe on our channel.